The protagonist, Renjo, always believed that love is a problem for other people, never for himself. With no close friends and parents who divorced due to constant conflict, he holds no illusions about romance. To him, marriage feels like an impossibility that belongs in the distant future. However, this belief is challenged when a girl named Ryuti confesses to him, begging him to marry her. He sighs, noting that this is already the 6th time she has asked. He gives his standard reply: he is still 16 and cannot legally marry in Japan. Undeterred, she clarifies that she wants him to be her fiancé, in name only. The young man admits that he might have been happy if this were a genuine confession of love, but the arrangement seems purely transactional. To understand how they reached this curious situation, the story flashes back to a few days earlier. Renjo visits the bookstore on his way home from school, muttering to himself that the shelves are too high. He notices a customer struggling to reach a book and realizes it is his classmate, Aino Ryuti, a transfer student from Finland who usually keeps to herself. He wonders if she is also on her way home, but hesitates to approach, fearing she will reject any interaction. Suddenly she turns and their eyes meet. Startled, she slips on the step stool. Renjo instinctively dashes forward and catches her before she hits the ground. Ryuti is surprised but recognizes him immediately, calling him by his given name, Toru. He is amazed, as it has been a long time since anyone used that name. As she straightens up, the girl quickly puts her guard back up, claiming she didn't actually need his help. Renjo senses that getting involved with her might be trouble, but his instincts tell him to stay. He offers to retrieve the book for her so she doesn't risk falling again. She flushes and asks for the long goodbye. He smiles, recognizing the author as Raymond Chandler, and notes that he reads quite a lot. When he hands her the book, she acts cold again, remarking that she didn't really ask him to get it. He teases her, calling her mean. Softening, she finally thanks him and admits that acting tough is a bad habit of hers. He offers a kind perspective, telling her that if it is a mechanism to protect herself, it isn't necessarily bad. Ryuti is deeply impressed by his understanding nature and calls him kind. He scratches his head and denies it, claiming anyone would have done the same, but finds himself captivated by her eyes, which shine like gemstones. He turns to leave, saying he is glad he could help. As he walks away, she reaches out as if to stop him, but her voice fails her, and she falls silent. Once outside, Renjo realizes he completely forgot to buy the book he originally came for. However, the image of Ryuti, the blonde, blue-eyed, solitary goddess, begins to form in his mind. Shaking his head, he tells himself that he is not the type of guy who should get involved with someone like her. Little does he know, this moment marks the beginning of a future he could never have imagined, one where he will be with her every single day. The next day at school, Renjo rests his head on his desk, feeling exhausted after staying up too late watching anime and reading mystery novels. While the chatter of the classroom fills the air, he senses someone standing behind him. He lifts his head to find Ryuti looming over his desk. To his amazement, she is blushing. She asks if he would like to eat lunch with her during the break. Before he can even process the invitation, the classroom erupts into chaos. The other students are shocked that the solitary transfer student is inviting an unremarkable boy like him to lunch. Renjo feels the pressure rising, thinking this is becoming a troublesome situation. Sensing his hesitation, Ryuti shivers and asks if his silence means no. He realizes that choosing the wrong answer here could lead to even bigger problems. Desperate to settle the rumors, she tries to explain that he helped her at the bookstore yesterday, specifically mentioning that he caught her when she almost fell. This only makes the classmates freak out more. She insists on thanking him by treating him to the most expensive lunch in the cafeteria. Renjo intends to refuse. He believes no good can come from getting involved with such a high-profile, beautiful girl. Refusing is the wise choice to avoid trouble. However, as he prepares to say no, he looks down and notices her legs are trembling. He realizes that the solitary goddess is actually just a shy girl who gathered a lot of courage to invite him. He wants to avoid trouble, but if he rejects her after she tried so hard, he knows he will regret it. So he makes a compromise. He tells her he doesn't deserve a fancy lunch, but he would be happy with a canned coffee from the vending machine instead. Ryuti's face lights up, and she happily asks if this means they will have lunch together. He agrees, thinking of it as a simple thank you gesture. Immediately, she backpedals, hiding her relief behind a cold front. She insists she didn't want to have lunch with him, but is only doing it as a thank you. He accepts this, realizing she is a classic tsundere. As they talk, the class whispers about whether Renjo is happy to be the center of attention. Meanwhile, the MC realizes this is an important turning point. If he had rejected her at that moment, he would never have ended up becoming Aino Ryuti's fiancé. Later, on their way to lunch, Renjo asks if she prefers the convenience store or the cafeteria. She smiles and responds that she is fine with whatever he likes. He finds her gestures undeniably cute and decides to go to the cafeteria. As they walk, he notices she is leaning closer to him, but whenever he turns to look at her, she quickly pulls away. He wonders if perhaps he is walking too fast for her. As they continue, Ryuti tells him that he didn't need to be so considerate of her pace, claiming she would have been fine. He counters that she shouldn't force herself. Even if she were fine, he would have been bothered by it. Flustered by his consideration, she panics and accidentally shouts out loud that she is actually shy, timid, and unable to be honest. Realizing she just exposed her own weakness, she accuses him of setting her up. He laughs, pointing out that the damage was entirely self-inflicted. Her expression grows serious, and she admits that his assessment might be true. Renjo confirms his suspicions. Despite her cool, tough exterior, she is genuinely a shy girl. Feeling that he might have been too blunt and wanting to maintain distance without hurting her, he decides to level the playing field. He tells her that he is actually a bigger coward than she is, shy, timid, and introverted. She seems relieved that they are similar, but he shakes his head. He tells her they aren't that alike because he isn't special like her. When she looks confused, he explains that their classmates call her Goddess Freya. Ryuti quickly denies it, insisting she is just a normal person. The innocent expression on her face leaves him speechless. To shift the mood, she points out that the ticket machine is free. Renjo chooses the A set, and she immediately orders the same meal. She quickly clarifies that she is not copying him. He plays along but is surprised by how comfortable he feels. He expected to be nervous eating with the most beautiful girl in their grade, yet talking about books made everything feel natural. When he keeps looking at her, she asks if there is something on her face. He quickly denies it, unable to admit he was staring. Her laughter suddenly brings back a painful memory. She reminds him of a childhood friend who used to laugh the same way, a girl he was separated from after a certain incident. A quiet fear rises inside him. If he gets too close to Ryuti, he might hurt her as well. Even so, he finds it difficult to resist her bright presence. After their food arrives, they sit on a bench. Renjo stands to get some water, but someone calls out to him. He turns and sees Tomoka. She comments that it is unusual to see him alone with a girl. He tries to brush it off, but she keeps pressing and asks whether Ryuti is his girlfriend. Ryuti boldly challenges her attitude. Tomoka responds with a scoff and looks at Renjo with clear hatred, saying she does not recall ever dating someone as worthless as him. Ryuti snaps back, telling her not to speak badly of him. Renjo finally intervenes, revealing that Tomoka is his childhood friend. He clenches his fist, desperate to keep his past a secret, but Tomoka has no intention of staying quiet. When Ryuti asks why a simple childhood friend cares so much, Tomoka smiles maliciously and drops a bombshell. She is Renjo's ex-fiancée. He is horrified that she broke their promise to keep this secret. Tomoka dismisses his concern, arguing that since their engagement was due to family circumstances, it doesn't matter. She turns to Ryuti and warns her to stay away, claiming Renjo is the type of bad person who abandons his fiancée and runs away. Renjo falls silent, unable to deny the accusation. However, Ryuti shakes her head with a smile. She tells Tomoka that she doesn't know what happened between them in the past, but refuses to believe Renjo is a bad person. Tomoka is irritated, asking why she won't trust someone she has known for years. Ryuti declares that she isn't looking at the Renjo of the past, but the kind person standing in front of her right now. Tomoka, now visibly pissed, warns her not to blame her when she regrets it. Ryuti confidently replies that she won't. Tomoka mocks her, reiterating that she is the one with the history as the childhood friend and ex-fiancé. Ryuti acknowledges that while she cannot change the past to become his childhood friend, she can certainly become his fiancé now. As Renjo and Tomoka stand there in shock, she looks him in the eye and delivers her proposal. "I want you to be my fiancé." The story briefly shifts back to the past to explain Renjo's complicated history. He and his childhood friend Tomoka were cousins whose parents arranged for them to be engaged. After his own parents divorced, the boy was taken in by Tomoka's family, one of Japan's largest corporate groups, the Konoe Group, and they began living together. He genuinely liked his cousin, but a major incident eventually destroyed their relationship. As a result, he was kicked out of the main house, and the engagement fell through. Returning to the present, Renjo finds himself in a coffee shop with Ryuti, the girl who has just asked him to be her husband. She orders 2 floats. When the waitress looks at him, he simply nods, agreeing to the same order. Ryuti teases him, asking if he didn't want to order something different, but he dismisses it. When their drinks arrive, she shyly remarks that this feels like a date. He apologizes for bringing her to a casual place, but she blushes and quickly retorts that she didn't want to go on a date with him anyway. This is strictly a meeting. He decides to cut to the chase and asks her directly why she proposed. He wonders if it was just a joke or a lie to spite Tomoka, but she shakes her head seriously. She admits it was real. The girl explains that hearing Tomoka speak badly of him made her impulsively declare her intention to marry him, even though she realizes she didn't explain herself well. Renjo senses there is more to the situation. He carefully suggests that she might be in trouble, perhaps being forced into a marriage she does not want. Her eyes widen, startled that he guessed correctly. She explains that her mother works for the Japanese branch of a Finnish conglomerate, but the company has been struggling financially for a long time. In exchange for funding, a condition was set. She must become engaged to a relative of the company president providing the support. Ryuti admits she wants him to act as her fake fiancé so she can refuse the arrangement. If she proves she is already in a relationship, she believes the proposal will be withdrawn. Curious, he requests the name of the funding company. When she shows him her phone, he freezes. The name displayed is the Konoe Group, Tomoka's family. The implication hits immediately. If the marriage is tied to the Konoe family, then the intended partner must be one of Tomoka's relatives. Asking for a moment, Renjo steps outside and makes a call. He contacts Fuyuka, the secretary of the Konoe main family, and the person who has effectively acted as his guardian. She answers playfully, teasing him for rarely reaching out. When the topic of the marriage arrangement comes up, she assumes he is already aware and casually congratulates him on securing a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed fiancé. Confusion clouds his mind, until the truth clicks into place. He is the relative the Konoe family selected for Ryuti. Frustration rises as he demands an explanation, especially since no one consulted him. Fuyuka only laughs, remarking that life is unfair. Political marriages may be outdated, but this decision reflects the will of the family head. Renjo realizes that even after casting him out, they still intend to use him as a pawn. He questions whether anyone has considered the girl's feelings, having her future decided by outsiders. Fuyuka calmly replies that the outcome depends on him. If he becomes the ideal fiancé and earns her love, the arrangement will no longer be a problem. The call ends, leaving him unsettled. He struggles to figure out how to tell Ryuti the truth. Glancing back through the window, he notices two men standing near her table, clearly bothering her. Without hesitation, he rushes inside. Looking frightened, Ryuti clings to his arm and loudly declares that she already has a boyfriend. Renjo immediately steps into the role, shielding her and locking eyes with the men until they retreat. She trembles, still gripping him tightly. Gratitude fills her voice as she admits she wishes someone could always protect her. Then the topic shifts to her supposed future fiancé. With a weary sigh and a growing headache, Renjo reveals the truth. It is him. Shock washes over her face. He explains that he is the Konoe relative chosen as her fiancé. The coincidence feels unreal. Slowly, she processes what this means. Marrying him would satisfy her mother, fulfill the Konoe family's expectations, and spare her from being tied to a stranger. He questions whether she is truly comfortable being forced into marriage with someone she barely understands. A deep blush spreads across her cheeks. Hesitantly, she clarifies that she does not mean it strangely, but if the person is Renjo, someone kind, capable, and her own age, she feels she might genuinely want it. He admits he still does not fully understand her, yet she gently places her hands over his and says that if he is willing to try from now on, she is prepared to marry him. Renjo stands there in stunned silence. Logically, this solution benefits everyone involved. Now, the only thing left to decide is his own will. Renjo falls silent, prompting Ryuti to ask if his silence implies a refusal. He clarifies that it isn't a no, but insists that she needs to think deeply about what marriage entails. She claims she has thought about it, but he doubts her impulsiveness. To test her resolve, the young man asks a blunt question. If they get married, is she prepared for everything that marriage could involve, including starting a family? The girl blushes deeply and accuses him of being inappropriate. He calmly explains that it is simply a reality of marriage that she must consider. After some hesitation, she admits that she would be okay with it. She adds that if it is something expected after marriage, she would accept it. He realizes his attempt to make her reconsider has backfired completely. Instead of scaring her off, he has made her agree to something extreme. Suddenly, she catches him staring at her. He quickly looks away and denies it, but she knows he is lying. She smiles and teases him, saying it's natural for someone his age to react that way. Renjo internally admits that he cannot help but be interested in a beautiful girl like her, but keeps these thoughts to himself. Ryuti insists that if he won't admit his interest, she won't let him brush it off so easily. He coughs to clear the air and reminds her that he never actually agreed to the engagement yet, asking for more time to think. She agrees, but lightly lifts his chin and reminds him that she wants to be his wife. The next day, Renjo walks to school, unable to get the previous day's events out of his head. Suddenly, A girl slaps him on the back and greets him cheerfully. It is Sakurai, a classmate with a bright personality whom he has known since middle school. Despite her cheerful appearance, she is second in their grade rankings, only losing out to Tomoka. Sakurai has unilaterally decided that she and Tomoka are arch rivals after losing the student council election to her. She declares she is motivated to beat Tomoka. Turning to Renjo, she asks if his childhood friend has any deadly weaknesses, like a fear of snakes, that could make her faint. He claims he has never heard of such a thing. Sakurai teases him, saying his refusal to betray his friend is why she likes him. She vows to destroy Tomoka in the next exam and take the student council president's seat. Renjo jokes that she sounds like a villain, but she insists she is an ally of justice, while Tomoka is the evil one. He sighs but cheers her on as she leaves. Moments later, Ryuti approaches. She asks if he needs help with his daily duty. When he declines, she leans in close and whispers into his ear, asking again if he will marry her. Renjo jolts in surprise, terrified that someone, especially Sakurai, might overhear them. Later, he retreats to the library. He reflects on his situation. After being cast out by the Konoe main family, he felt unneeded, but now Ryuti desperately needs him to avoid a forced marriage. He picks up a book titled Finland, All You Need to Know to Learn More About Her Background. He reads that Finland has a small population and many people with blonde hair and blue eyes, just like her. He also notes that Finnish women are generally tall, often over 170 centimeters, which makes him realize that Ryuti is actually quite short for her nationality. He realizes he is thinking about her again. Just then, she appears and asks what he is reading. When Renjo tries to hide the book, she teasingly asks if it's a forbidden book. He quickly denies it, saying it's just a regular book. She then blushes and says that if they were married, he wouldn't need to read boring books at home anymore. Renjo is confused until she clarifies that she meant what she said yesterday about starting a family. Her voice carries across the library, and a few students glance over. He nervously denies ever saying that, but she insists he did, leaving him flustered. Suddenly, Sakurai storms into the aisle. She announces that she heard a boy is bothering a girl about marriage and family matters. Renjo tries to explain, but Sakurai stares him down. She admits that if it is Renjo, there is probably a misunderstanding, but demands an explanation for why he and Ryuti have been getting along so well recently. She demands to know what on earth is going on between the two of them. Just as tensions rise, Ryuti intervenes and reveals to Sakurai that she is getting married to Renjo. Sakurai is stunned and cannot process the news. She shouts in disbelief, asking how the two of them could possibly be getting married. Ryuti calmly explains that since they are getting married, having children would not be unusual. Renjo tries to de-escalate the situation, explaining that it is due to complicated family circumstances. After they explain that it is an arranged marriage for political reasons, Sakurai is still baffled. She remarks that an arranged marriage is unheard of in this day and age, and questions how they can accept such an engagement decided by others. Renjo silently agrees. It does seem absurd. Suddenly, Ryuti turns to Sakurai and asks if she likes Renjo. Sakurai jolts and blushes furiously. She stammers in denial, though her reaction suggests otherwise. Ryuti insists she just has a feeling. Sakurai shouts that she definitely does not like him. Renjo worries about the noise in the library, but realizes that no one is paying attention. Satisfied with the answer, Ryuti declares that Sakurai does not need to hold back, and announces that she wants to marry Renjo. Sakurai argues that it makes no sense to marry someone she is not dating and does not like. Ryuti explains that she is simply choosing the best option for her own happiness, and that marrying him is better than being forced to marry a stranger. Sakurai accuses her of using Renjo, but Ryuti admits that she does not dislike him. She asks if Sakurai will support them even though she does not like Renjo. Defeated and unable to confess her true feelings, Sakurai clenches her fist, apologizes, and runs away. Renjo tries to call after her, but Ryuti stops him. She stares at him with intense jealousy, warning him that even though Sakurai is pretty, he cannot cheat on her once they are married. Renjo is confused by her jealousy, but also curious about her true feelings. He reminds her that he has not made a final decision yet. Ryuti vows to keep asking until he says yes. He notices that she is holding the book he hid. Finland, All You Need to Know. She smiles, realizing he was trying to learn more about her, though she pretends to be indifferent. She tells him that Finland has a higher divorce rate than Japan, noting that her parents are divorced, just like his. She then shares the origin of her name, Aino. It comes from a water maiden in Finnish mythology who was forced to marry an old god. Aino refused, and with no one to save her, threw herself into a lake and died. Renjo realizes that this tragedy mirrors Ryuti's current situation. However, she smiles and says she is different because she has a hero, Renjo. He denies being a hero, citing his failure to save his childhood friend in the past. She insists that as long as they are together, they will not be weak. She claps her hands together as if praying and asks him for the 6th time to marry her. He repeats his standard line about being only 16, but internally wrestles with his fears. He worries about losing her like he lost his childhood friend. Still, he realizes he is not strong enough to let go of her hand. Finally, he makes his decision and agrees to become her fiancé. Ryuti is overjoyed, tears filling her eyes. He adds that if they find another way, they can break it off, making them fiancés in name only. She leans into his ear and whispers in Finnish that she loves him. He freaks out, asking what the phrase means. She smiles mysteriously and promises to tell him someday if he marries her. Later, they arrive at his residence for the engagement procedures. It is a huge mansion belonging to the Konoe family, the same place where his mother was born and where Tomoka lives. He feels nervous and uncomfortable returning to the place he was kicked out of. They are greeted by Fuyuka, the secretary. She welcomes him warmly and hugs him tightly, complaining that he has not visited enough. He notices Ryuti glaring at them with intense jealousy. Fuyuka introduces herself to the girl, who coldly asserts her status as Renjo's fiancé. The secretary winks and explains that he is like a little brother to her, teasing Ryuti by asking if she wants to hug him too. Caught off guard, she admits she might want to try. Fuyuka encourages them to do it right away. Renjo hesitates but admits he would not mind. Ryuti blushes but agrees. As he reaches out and touches her shoulders, the atmosphere becomes charged. He realizes that with the mood this intense, he might end up doing more than just hugging. Just then, the moment is shattered as Tomoka enters the room, smirking and asking if they are having fun. Renjo shouts her name in shock. Desperate to escape the awkward situation, Renjo tries to pull away, but Ryuti holds his hand tightly. She tells him that since they are already engaged, they don't need to hold back in front of Tomoka. He hesitates. His cousin's glare is terrifying, but he can't shake off his fiancé's hand. He wonders why Tomoka is even mad, considering she is supposed to hate him. She pouts, complaining that he didn't even hug her when they got engaged. She then boldly turns to Tomoka, asking if she is jealous. Tomoka shouts in denial, but her expression is different from her usual perfect composure. She is clearly flustered. Ryuti turns back to him, insisting that since she is his fiancé, she can do whatever she wants, including hugging him. She adds that she feels a little bad for the ex-fiancé. The childhood friend smirks and asks a personal question, knowing they just met. Ryuti shouts that of course not, and both she and Renjo blush at the thought. Tomoka proudly reveals that since they live together, they've shared a lot of everyday moments. The tension in the room skyrockets. Renjo wonders what kind of bizarre fight this is turning into. Ryuti demands to know if it is true. He admits it is, but clarifies they were just kids. Tomoka takes the upper hand, teasing him about the last time, which was in 6th grade. He denies it furiously, but Ryuti points out that it was all harmless childhood mischief. Tomoka threatens to be mad if he continues denying it. Losing her patience, Ryuti grabs him by the shoulder and insists they hug now, suggesting they live together and spend more time together. Renjo is shocked by her boldness. Fuyuka chimes in, saying that it is a wonderful idea. She suggests they move in as early as tomorrow and adds that spending more time together might deepen their bond. Both Renjo and Tomoka scream in protest, insisting that it will not happen. However, the secretary reveals that the decision has already been made. The couple will live together starting tomorrow. The Konoe family will arrange a mansion for them. Renjo argues that they are high schoolers and might get expelled. Fuyuka dismisses his concern, explaining that the family donates heavily to the school, and if they say black is white, the school will agree. She adds that they even have permission from Ryuti's mother. Tomoka shouts that she never heard about this. Fuyuka calmly explains that the family head decided it, and since he isn't here, she was called specifically to order them to live together. Renjo realizes that his childhood friend was kept in the dark just like him. Defeated, Tomoka warns them that they cannot do anything immoral. Renjo promises he will behave responsibly, but Ryuti nervously asks if living together might lead to awkward situations. Tomoka snaps, telling her to be seriously careful. Ryuti recalls that Renjo once made a teasing comment about the future, which surprises everyone again. Tomoka is horrified and tells Fuyuka that they need to be careful while living together. Surprisingly, Ryuti says she trusts Renjo and would be okay with facing difficult situations together. Fuyuka laughs at Tomoka's flustered state and tells Renjo to treat his fiancée well. He agrees, though he knows their engagement is just a means to an end. Unable to stop the arrangement, Tomoka warns him that she will not forgive him if he leaves her behind and is the only one getting happy. Ryuti counters, saying she wants him to be happy and will do her best to support him. Tomoka scoffs, asking what she can do. Ryuti points out that Tomoka has been calling him by his first name, Toru, this whole time, and asks if she still likes Renjo. Tomoka panics, shouts that she does not, and storms out without explaining herself. Fuyuka winks, saying she will handle the follow-up, and leaves. Alone at last, Ryuti asks why his engagement with Tomoka was really broken. He sighs and explains the truth. Their engagement was decided by their parents. Tomoka had a weak body and was often lonely, so his purpose was to protect her. In the first year of middle school, she was kidnapped for ransom because she was a daughter of a large company, and he was taken too. Ryuti is shocked, having never heard about the incident. He explains that it was hushed up by the police and media. During the kidnapping, he had a chance to run away alone. Terrified, he fled without trying to help her. Although Tomoka was released unharmed thanks to the police, Renjo lost the trust of his family for abandoning her, and the engagement was broken. He smiles bitterly, admitting he is a coward who betrayed the person he should have protected. He asks her if she still wants to be engaged to him, knowing this. Ryuti looks at him and says it feels strange. She explains it isn't fair to blame him entirely for what happened as a middle schooler and insists it wasn't his fault. She adds that she wants to help him and stay by his side. Renjo reminds her that he is a guy, implying the danger of living together. She smiles and says that being engaged means they can spend more time together and share many fun and embarrassing moments. She holds his hand tightly. He insists he will respect boundaries, but she whispers that she really wants to help and support him.
Here I am. Know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand. I know I walked away.